Okay, I'll tell him hold up.
Just the way our day's going to start, I better pass today.
We're starting with a 2-0 Europa League day, hopefully. And I let the chat know, slight delay. We are live. It is puck time on WagerTalk TV. It is Thursday. I am Carmine Bianco. Andrew McInnes is off today with yet another upper body injury, but don't worry about it. We've got Bryan Leonard here. Bryan, listen, I'm going to bring you in right away. We were talking just before we went to air about the Vegas Golden Knights laying a little bit of a beating on the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's a shame we didn't have Prez on today's show to discuss that one. Hopefully some of you guys cashed that puck line play that I mentioned on yesterday's show on the Vegas Golden Knights. Still one of the most profitable teams, and especially at home on that puck line. 12 straight, Bryan, 12 straight puck line covers for the Vegas Golden Knights at home in their last 12 wins. So it's not 12 straight games. Their last 12 wins, they have covered the puck line at the Fortress. How did you enjoy that game?
It was a lot of fun. The games come on pretty late here in Vegas, and I'm up all morning doing all my work. So I was able to pretty much turn the game off after the first period and felt pretty comfortable about it. That doesn't happen very often, but it was nice to try to get a little bit of sleep last night. Unfortunately, my cat did not appreciate my trying to get that extra time, so the wife and I are dragging this morning.
Yeah, if you hear some chirping in the background, it is because it is the 1-year birthday of my wife's, and I'll say mine, conure. It is a sun-kiss conure. It's kind of a mutation. It's a year old. Got it for her last year, a few, probably about 5 or 6 months after hers, after 24 and a half years had passed away. So she is, being someone from the islands and being a bird person, an avian lover. She's going to have a great time today with this one. But Bryan, we're going to talk Columbus, Florida, Winnipeg, Philadelphia, Calgary, and Dallas. Obviously, there's no props with Andrew not being on the show. And then we'll give us some best bets and maybe take some questions from our live chat along the way. It is bumping this morning. Frank Budd was the first one in this morning talking about maybe taking Edmonton plus 118. I think that's probably on the goal line for the first period. Money line, the two worst teams in the NHL on the money line, first period, Edmonton at home and Montreal on the road. So that is a no play for me on that one. But I got a bit of a bone to pick with you, and that is, Bri, I'm on a good NHL run. 1-1 yesterday, but the Chicago game, the Chicago-Ottawa game that I had was in regulation. And I think our site originally graded it as a win, even though they won in overtime. The system automatically graded it as a win, but we made sure it got changed to a loss because they won it in OT and not in regulation. But still a really good run for me in the NHL. And then I look, and then I'm in second, who's in first the last 7 days, the last 30 days. You, come on, man, slow it down a little bit. I know your clients are loving it. You are winning, and you've got a baseball and hockey promo pack to talk about a little later on, which I think is a fantastic deal. But can you can you cool your horses a little bit with the winning?
No, I am not. I've been waiting all year to get on a nice streak. Everybody who joined last week after I was on has been treated to a really
Teams are likely not friends because these are two teams that could very well meet in the playoffs, or one of them could miss it completely. But it's the Florida Panthers and Columbus. And I think the first reaction you guys might think in chat or watching the video later on is, why are you talking about a team that's minus 290 tonight? And that's what Florida is. They opened up at 290. They opened up at 245, steamed to 290 in this one. But this is a Columbus team as well, Bry, that is right in the playoff mix. Wasn't expected from me after the stuff that happened in the offseason, of course, with Johnny Gaudreau. But they're playing some pretty good hockey, come off of a couple wins against Detroit Red Wings. But then the first half of the Florida double, they get steamrolled by a very good Tampa team. And now they're playing Florida, who have been equally, if not better than Tampa Bay has been over the course of the last couple of weeks and since the restart. So, Brian, the one thing that worries me here about Columbus, and I look at it, they had a 4-game win streak snapped by Tampa Bay. 2 of the wins were against the Detroit Red Wings. 1 of the wins was against the Chicago Blackhawks. Now, you could say they have a win against Dallas, but that was a bad scheduling spot for Dallas as well in that game. That was Dallas's 3rd in 4 nights going into Columbus, and Columbus beats them 6-4 in that one. They get fairly rested Tampa team here. It's not a bad scheduling spot for Florida. And a bad scheduling spot for Florida, not Tampa. I think it's a good spot for Florida. Obviously, 290, the books agree. I can't take that number, but the puck line, Florida minus 1.5, minus 120 is where I'm leaning here. Can you talk me off of that with any Columbus action?
Well, I will tell you that Columbus had that winning streak going, and they had that big game, the stadium game at Ohio State, and that was huge for them. I watch a lot of Ohio baseball, and they talk about that with the Guardians and the Reds. That was big for Columbus, and I even talked about that. And they got that victory, and you could see the letdown coming against Tampa. So I don't penalize them that much for losing that game to Tampa. And you mentioned this being a high line. We see a few games today with the higher lines, and in fact, you're going to see it the rest of the season. We see it every year in baseball too, with teams that are out of the playoffs playing for the future. The lines are a lot higher, so we got to get used to it. That's just the way it is. But both teams are controlling the action over the last 30 days when looking at expected goal share. Blue Jackets 51.52, Panthers 59.64. Columbus is sitting at 4th place in the Metro, while Florida leads the Atlantic. That said, the Panthers only have a net goal advantage of 29 on the season. You mentioned Columbus. They've been a very good surprise for me. It's great for the city. It's great for my home state of Ohio. They'd won 4 straight after the break, including that win over the Red Wings in that stadium series. But after that letdown, I can let them off a little bit here. Florida has won 4 straight games, but will be missing the heart and soul of the team as Matthew Tkachuk is out for a long time here, extended amount of time. They're hoping to have him back by the playoffs. He's a tough guy. If he's able to do it, he's going to be back. But the Cubs have been doing it with defense, allowing a total of 10 total goals in their last 7 games. They're also in the middle of a 5-game homestand with the last 2 days off, so the schedule really helps Florida here. Let's play this Columbus team total under 2.5. It's minus 135 on this one. That's the way I'm looking at this. Very similar to the way you're looking. I'm looking for a way to play Florida without laying that big number. I like the way that you played it. I also like playing the Columbus team total under 2.5. And hopefully Florida comes out with a good defensive effort and we can both get a nice victory here.
I like it, Brian. You're Andrew's not here today, but you're summoning the Andrew gods with team totals, and and I like that. And since we've gone to air, a little more steam coming in on Florida. They are now up to like minus 315. I think I'm seeing at a
Mhm.
couple bucks. They're definitely taking a lot of action as well too. Winnipeg and Philadelphia. This is an interesting one, Brian, because it's like a rapid revenge spot for Winnipeg. They lost at home to Philadelphia 2-1. Five straight unders for this Winnipeg team, and they're minus 150 in Philadelphia. It's plus 130. My initial thought here is, and I want to give a thought on every game because I'm the one who picked these games, so I'm not going to pass on any play, but my initial thought is I want to take the under 5.5 here because five straight unders for Winnipeg and the team you expect to dominate or win the game. I think it's a correlation. Winnipeg wins, games tend to stay under. My only worry here is it's likely going to be Urson in goal for Philadelphia.
Mhm.
And I said this early in the season. I don't think Urson's the goalie that you can play a majority of the games in the season. Obviously, he split games last year with was it Carter Hart last season before that stuff went down. But he's taking the brunt of the games, and you look at his last couple of games. He allows 5 in a loss to the Pittsburgh Penguins, and then last time out gets pulled after 9.5 minutes against Calgary after allowing 3 goals on 5 shots. I'm not even sure I want him in goal. Maybe put one of the other guys like Fedotov or somebody else in goal, but I still think it's going to. I still like the under here. Philly went in, played a great defensive game in Winnipeg, win that game 2-1 in OT. I'm going to go under here. Can you talk me off of this one?
Yeah, this is a really interesting game. You look at the last 30 days, 505 expected goal share. Winnipeg's at 53.21. Makes a lot of sense. Philadelphia at 49.39. But if you remember, the Flyers were sitting in basically the 60% range for much of February. So they've really tailed off in that regard here. The Jets own a whopping 95 net goal advantage on the season between these two teams. Winnipeg leads the league in victories at 42, yet they've dropped 3 straight. The Jets had previously lost 4 straight games at the end of November, start of December, and despite a 42-20 win-loss record on the season, they're only 10-10 after a straight-up loss. That is a concern here for them. They've been very streaky all season long. You'd mentioned the way they win is with defense. That is a concern here. No team in the league has been nearly as streaky as the Jets have. They also had revenge, as you mentioned, for the visitor who lost a 2-1 home shootout contest to the Flyers on Saturday. And the Jets also traveled to New Jersey to take on the Fading Devils tomorrow. Flyers are in the second game of a 7-game homestand, so they're in better shape when it comes to that. They're coming off a 6-3 loss to Calgary. Despite the drop in expected goal share, they have won 4 or 5 games as of late, so they are also doing it more on the defensive side. Winnipeg was a great regular season team last year as well, but if you remember, they faded down the stretch. They fell out of the playoffs very quickly. If you take a look at Winnipeg to win it all this year, you would never know that they've got the best record in the NHL. You can catch them. I believe I saw an 11-1 the other day. This is a team a lot of people just don't have much faith in to win playoff hockey, and all these wins in the regular season just haven't helped them. They had a great regular season last year, another one this year, but I don't know if I could trust them here, despite the revenge motive. Yes, I would have preferred a different Philadelphia goalie, but when Winnipeg is hot, they're winning, I don't want to get in their way. When they are losing, as I mentioned, 10-10 off of a loss this year, and they've only lost 20 games all season long. So they have been very streaky. Until they turn this thing around, I don't want to lay this kind of number on the road. So it's not one of my bigger plays today. It's just a lean, but I do like Philadelphia here. I think there still is some value here. But yeah, I would have preferred a different goalie, but what can you do? You got to be able to handicap the games with the players they put on the ice.
Yeah, no, and listen, I get it, Brian. I think when we can call it the lack of respect that Winnipeg gets, has to do with you look at pretty much every single NHL team, and they could probably take an injury to one of their two goalies and still perform at a high level. I think Winnipeg is going to live and die, even though they have some good players and they're a well-coached team. They live and die by Hellebuck. If Hellebuck was to get injured right now, I think Winnipeg is a team that falls down the standings. And 3 straight losses: Nashville, Philadelphia, and then to the New York Islanders, 3-2 to the New York Islanders. So 3 losses in a row. They got Dallas hot on their heels. They got the Vegas Golden Knights hot on their heels at 80 points. First place might not be there much longer for them in a week's time if they continue to struggle, especially if they drop this game to Philadelphia. So we'll see how it goes. But you look at some of the teams like in the Western Conference that are struggling right now. The LA Kings, 5 straight losses for the Kings after playing just above their heads at home, having that good run at home where they were pretty much beating everybody. Hit the road, haven't looked good since. Come home yesterday, play St. Louis, lose that game in OT. So teams are struggling. That's the good thing about it. And you talk about prices. And yes, we saw it last year. There were times last year where I saw Pittsburgh, who was in the mix for a playoff spot, like minus 400 against the Buffalo Sabres. I get it. The Sabres are a terrible team, but laying 400, Ralph Michaels has given us that stat, and I'll get it for us for tomorrow's show. But some of these ones, they go down at the end of the season in the last couple of weeks. So if you're a parlay guy, don't just add a minus 400 because you think it bumps up the price of your parlay. Maybe just pass on that game completely. But we're seeing some of these top 8 teams struggle right now. And the great thing is, Brian, it's keeping the playoff races alive. So there's more meaningful games, which takes me to this next one. And I'm going to throw it to you. Calgary and Dallas. Calgary Flames tied with Vancouver for that last playoff spot at 67 points. But on the outside, looking in right now, as Vancouver has that spot, looks like it's Wolf and Ottinger, minus 235, opened at 245. So a little bit of Calgary money coming in. How are you playing this one?
Before we get to the game, I want to just add a little bit to what you were saying about teams on the up and down. Edmonton has been horrendous lately, and everybody keeps laying these $4 favorites, $3 favorites on Edmonton, thinking they're going to turn it around. Teams get in slumps. Players get in slumps. You see it all the time. Just because a team got a good record does not mean they're going to win the next game. So you got to take everything and see how these teams are playing as of late, and look at their schedule, see which games they're coming for and which games they're not. So that's why we get paid the big bucks working over here at WagerTalk. We've had a lot of success over the years, all of us, in handicapping hockey. So hopefully we can keep some people off of those big favorites. But getting back to the Calgary and Dallas game, over the last 30 days, 5-on-5 play, the Flames have an expected goal share of 45.26. Stars not a whole lot better at 48.36. Dallas owns a plus 70 net goal advantage on the season between these two clubs. This contest ends a 6-game road trip for Calgary, who come in 2-3 so far on this trip. The only other meeting this season came in this building, and it was a 6-2 win for the Stars. Dallas was 5-1 since the 4-team tournament break, and this is also the 4th straight game at home, so a really good scheduling spot here for Dallas. Clearly favors the host. The Stars should be able to dictate the pace here, and they've been involved in some high-scoring affairs as of late, which is something we don't normally see out of Dallas. But go back and take a look at their scores as of late. Total scores in their games: 7, 9, 8, 10, 7, 6, 11, and 9. That keeps me on the Stars here. I like to play the Stars, and I'm going to play the team total. You mentioned Andrew earlier. This is my tribute to Andrew here. I'm going to play this Dallas team total over 3.5, and you're going to get it minus 110, so you don't have to lay a lot of juice. Team's been playing really well. They're playing at home. They're rested, and all we need is 4 goals out of them, and that way we don't got to lay the big price here on Dallas. So Dallas team total over 3.5, minus 110. and that's going to be my best bet on this selection.
All right. Are you okay with that game finishing 4-1? Because I like the under in this game, and it's going to be my best bet at the end of the show. But Calgary, 36, 22, and 3, plus 12.75 units to the under this year. So a very profitable under team. Dallas has been profitable both overall on the season and at home. Smaller numbers, but 30, 25, and 6 overall, 16, 12, and 3 at home to the under. They've only met once thus far this season, and that was a higher scoring game. I think it was a 6-2 or 6-3 game. But the fact that you now have Calgary in the mix, we're into the final quarter of the season, they're in the mix for playoff spots. You're seeing it. We saw it last night. It seemed like the LA Kings just needed and wanted to get that game into overtime to pick up a point last night. The St. Louis Blues, and I had no action on the game, but I watched the last 5-6 minutes. The Blues looked like a combination of the Edmonton Oilers and the Colorado Avalanche, just in the zone, offensive zone, cycling the puck. Unbelievable heat on LA, and they couldn't score in regulation, but they get it done in OT and shootout. So we'll see how it goes as far as tonight's game, but I think we see a good defensive effort, hopefully by Calgary, and I'll take 4-1. 4-1 Dallas. I'm happy. You're happy. Bryan, I'm going to go off the script here for a second and talk about like some teams that I'm looking at when I advance schedule. But you look at the Blues. You wouldn't think the Blues are a team that we should be thinking about making the playoffs. But here they are, 6-1-1 their last 8 games. They come off a win last night, as I mentioned, against the Kings. They're 1 point out of a playoff spot behind Vancouver, although they played a couple extra games. But you look at their schedule, and here's their schedule over the next 7 to 10 days. They play the Anaheim Ducks, the LA Kings, the Pittsburgh Penguins, Minnesota, Anaheim again, Nashville, Vancouver, Chicago, Nashville, Montreal. I'm not going to say that those are all gimmies, but there are games on that are very favorable to them. Not a lot of back-to-backs, 3 and 4 nights. And we know they're a very well-coached team since the addition of Montgomery for them. Would you think the Blues could be a play-on team moving forward?
They've been a play-on team for me. I really like the way they've been playing over the last month or so. A lot of value on St. Louis. There's a lot of games that you would look and you go, well, this is a game where they just won't show up for. It's just clearly a bad scheduling spot. And they come out and they play well. They get victories, and even in losses, they look like they're playing well. That is one of the things when you're handicapping hockey, because you get games right now, totals are 5.5, 6, 6.5. It's not going to be many goals in there. And if you could find teams that are just hanging in there, I made some pretty good money on Anaheim as of late as well. Teams that nobody really cares about. Look at San Jose just in the last few days. I mean, they're coming up 2 big underdog winners. These teams, if you watch them play and they're being competitive, even though they're not winning, you can realize that these teams are playing better hockey, and you can get some pretty good prices on those. When the opponents just look at the schedule and go, we're playing Anaheim, we're playing San Jose. St. Louis hasn't been that great of a team. They could take them for granted. And that's the best time to play those type of teams, is when you could see some positive things happening to the team, and yet they don't win. The general public just continues to go, they've lost 7 straight. Well, if you played them on plus 1.5 in those 7 games, you'd have made money. So that's something you always have to take into account. And St. Louis is a team that I've had my eye on for about the last month. So, this is a team right now playing very well. And I think for the most part, they're still playing under the most people just don't see them as a playoff team. So we can still make some more money on them.
That's why I love having you on the show, because you bring the tidbits of information, and then I can back it with a number that the people just may have missed. You talk about Anaheim and making money off of Anaheim. Anaheim is the number 1 profitable team on the puck line this season, when they're a dog, you take the plus 1.5, or if they're favored in some cases, and you lay the 1.5. But here is the number: 61 games. Anaheim is 42-19 on the puck line, plus 21.55 units. The most profitable team, 25% ROI. Second best, Vegas Golden Knights. Third, the Capitals, and fourth, the Lightning. They are in the mix with three very good teams there that I mentioned, Vegas, Tampa, and Washington, and they're the most profitable of the four teams. So there's something to be said. I think a lot of times people are like, I don't want to take plus 1.5 because of the empty net goal. Well, if they win the game, you don't have to worry about the empty net goal. If the game goes to OT, you don't have to worry about the empty net goal. There are much worse things than having to worry about the last 2 minutes of a game, when the first 58 minutes of it can already determine whether your bet is going to win or not. So with that said, Bri, good thoughts on Anaheim and the profitability of them. All right, Bri, I mentioned this last week. You have a great promo going up. Absolutely love this one, because, like I said, you're the go-to guy, I think, baseball-wise. You go to a lot, as I mentioned last week, a lot of symposiums with bettors, guys who do extremely well in baseball. You go to spring training, you make it out to Arizona or Florida, whichever one you choose to go to, and you have good baseball seasons. And of course, we know your record in the NHL. Tell us about the promo one more time, and let us know what you have up at WagerTalk and a show best bet.
Yeah, first off, I want to thank everybody who tuned in last week to the show and took advantage of that. I had a lot of people sign up, so I asked to extend it a little bit. So we're going to extend this till the 11th. The baseball season starts on the 18th in Japan. The Cubs and the Dodgers are playing 2 games there, and then the regular season starts for everybody else about a week later. So we're putting this up. This is a extremely early baseball special. As you mentioned, number one in the history in Major League Baseball net profit, number one in the history of NHL net profit. And if you sign up right now for a baseball season, you get everything all the way through the World Series for only $599. That's just a tremendous savings. That's basically half of what we normally charge for the baseball season. I play a lot of underdogs in baseball like I do in hockey. I believe 56% of my plays in baseball last year were underdogs, plus money underdogs, all at plus 101 or better. So we like to take advantage of that. And I always talk about baseball. Not only you're handicapping every team in baseball, you're handicapping at least 10 pitchers, 10 starting pitchers for each team all season long too. So I'm very aware of all the players on the 40-man roster. I'm very aware of all the rookies coming up, all the players coming up. So if you're looking for baseball, this is a tremendous special. But it's even better than that, as since you're tuning into the hockey show and you can talk to the guys who signed up last week. It's been a very profitable run, 16-5 in the NHL lately. We're going to give you the rest of the hockey season for $1, $600 instead of the $599. You get all the hockey through the Stanley Cup Championship, all of the World Series, all the way through the World Series in Major League Baseball, both of them for $600 right now. Goes out to the 11th. After that, I'm sure they'll raise it by a few $100s. Let's just put it that way. So this is a great time to do it. I do have a big 4% play in hockey tonight. Instead of paying the $25, you'll get that and the rest of the season for only $1 if you take advantage of this special. It's been terrific. Baseball, love baseball. My favorite sports. In fact, have been very good in these money line sports of baseball and hockey. Nobody does it better, as they say. And I normally don't like to talk about myself that way, but if you're interested in making money, this is a great special to do it.
I like it, Brian. Wait, did you give us a free play? I was busy responding to some of the live chat.
I did not, and I'll keep it short. It's the last game I talked about, the Calgary-Dallas game. I like that team total over 3.5, and it's minus 110. So you've heard all my reasoning on that, so no need to repeat it.
All right, and I mentioned mine. Obviously, I like the under in the Dallas and Calgary game. I'm banking on the fact that both these teams have been profitable in this situation, and Calgary needs to put in a strong road performance, try and pick up some points. So that last game by Calgary, winning 6-3 in Philadelphia, snapped a streak of, I think, 5 straight unders for Calgary. So let's see if they can get back on that under run for them. 2 plays up in Europa League soccer this afternoon, and currently 1 client play up, which you guys got already, which is the under in this game. But I do have a bigger play that'll be released shortly on the site. So you can find it over at WagerTalk.com on my page. Guys, Andrew should be back tomorrow. We're going to cover 3 of the games on Friday night. We'll have the 6 and 60, which has to be better than it was last week. Actually, it couldn't possibly be any worse. But with that said, for myself, Bryan, Leonard, and Dan, our producer, this is Puck Time. Best of luck to you guys. Hit that subscribe button, the like button, and we'll see you tomorrow on Puck Time.